It does feel like a determined government can spy on anybody it wants to. That's the way it feels to me. Do you think that's true?
Well, I think the biggest risk for personal privacy is the ability of any state actor to penetrate the device of the person, the mobile device, for example, because there are so-called zero-day vulnerabilities on iOS or Android phones, for example, that the governments sometimes know about and the secret agencies know about, and they can exploit them, but everybody else doesn't know, and they can't defend from themselves from them. So if you became a target of a government, it's really likely that they would install this so-called Trojan called Pegasus on your device. And I was one of these people 8 years ago that had a Pegasus installed on their phones, according to the leaked reports.
Been there. Is there any way, and I think a lot of people are there without knowing it, and I know that, is there any way to know if your phone has been compromised, if what you're looking at and typing is being read by somebody else? Is there any way to know for certain?
For certain, probably no, but there are ways to check that and see if known vulnerabilities have been exploited on your phone. And I know there are some organizations that can help you with that.
Where's your phone? You didn't leave it out?
I don't use a phone. I haven't used the phone for a year almost. I find it.
France took it.
Oh, France took it. But even before it took it, I wasn't using my phone. I didn't have a SIM card in the phone. I just use it to test Telegram, the app, because we have constant product updates. I have to test it like at least twice a week. But I'm not a user of a phone.
So I just want to say again, you're an engineer too. I mean, you're not like a marketing guy. You're like a build the app guy. So you understand the technology.
Yes.
Because you built it.
Yes.
So you're coming from a highly informed perspective when you make technology choices. Is that fair?
You could say so.
Yeah. One of the most informed probably in the world, and you don't have a phone. What is that? Like, why don't you have a phone?
Well, I don't use phone regularly, right? I probably own a phone, but I don't use phone. I don't carry a phone with me because I find it extremely distracting. I find it also potentially harming my privacy. Mm-hmm. And I also I don't think it's a necessary device for me to have. When I want to focus on something, I would rather use my laptop or my iPad and put together some notes or some interact with my team, right? So I wouldn't want to just open my phone and disappear there consuming short form content. And that's why I don't use a phone.
I'm trying to extract this from you for one simple reason, which is I think that when you come across someone who knows an immense amount about technology, really understands the technology, it's interesting to know his perspective on technology. Like with everything you know, you don't use a phone. So I just think, people can draw their own conclusions from that. But so what you saw Ross Ulbricht got?
The guy who was pardoned, yes.
Yeah. Silk Road.
Mm-hmm.
So he ran Silk Road, and I'm hardly an expert on this. I was very pleased when he got pardoned. But it seemed like no one accused him of selling drugs, by the way. You would never know that from reading the New York Times, but he was not like dealing drugs on playgrounds or anything like that. He had a site that made commerce possible outside the control of government. And there apparently were bad people doing bad things on it. Also, a lot of good people doing good things on it, but none of it was controlled by the government, and he got life in prison for that. That's my takeaway. And so maybe my sort of conclusion from this is, as long as people like you create technology that makes it harder for government to control people, you will be a target of government action. You think that's...
Well, first of all, I wouldn't necessarily compare Telegram with Silk Road,
and I'm not, and I didn't mean to. But the idea that they need to control everything that is happening online, and if they can't, they're going to punish you. That does seem like a real fact.
I think everybody's trying to reach their goals and be more efficient in what they do. For example, you ask any minister of interior, any head of police, and they'll tell you, oh, encryption is a big problem. If it weren't for encryption, we would solve all crime. They don't see it 2 steps or 3 steps ahead.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily like some huge conspiracy where like evil governments want to take more and more control. Although that may be the case. I'm not knowledgeable on that subject. It seems to me more like everybody is trying to solve the problems that they see using the tools that they have at their disposal, even if it negatively impacts other areas, of our lives.
You're a very generous man, I must say. Last question, and thank you for doing this. How long are you going to be in France? And once you leave France, will you be coming back to France?
I don't know yet when these restrictions will be lifted. I hope later this year we'll be able to travel to my home country, which is Dubai, freely. I will probably come back to France because it's a great place to spend time in. Of course, I have spent a lot of time in France now. I've 8 months. So
kind of a full immersion program. How's your French?
It's actually good. I was very good when I passed my French exam to receive the passport. It got 97 points out of 100. But I didn't practice my French much. Most of my friends are Americans, but even here in Paris. And my French friends speak perfect English, so I didn't get a chance to practice.
But now you've had that chance?
No, because they speak English with me. It changed. Like before, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was difficult not to speak French in France. Now, for better or worse, you can get by using English. I'm trying to use my French, but I don't sound I sound even less intelligent in French than in English. So people switch back to English with me.
But you don't anticipate like having to stay for the next 20 years or anything here?
I would be very surprised if that happened, because you see, I'm traveling to Dubai, I'm coming back. It's just obvious that I'm not somebody who would try to escape forever. And this investigation has to be concluded in one way or the other. Of course, then if it goes to trial, if that happens, it can take another several years. But then again, it would be completely crazy, I would say, if I would have to move to France and live here permanently for the whole duration of this process. I would say that the most likely, I expect that I would be able to travel again later this year.